Hello.
Hey. That was awkward. A little weird.
Sorry, was that? Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Neighbors Don't Knock. We're going to be talking about AI and social media and what's the realistic body type.
Realistic, huh?
Sure.
Welcome to Neighbors Don't Knock, the show that brings you hilarious, unapologetic conversations only these neighbors can have. Join them and guests in their weekly mission to expand the neighborhood. Now, here's your hosts, Brian Chambers and Philip Goffrey.
What's going on, guys? How is everyone doing? Use guys out there, all use guys and use neighbors, what's up?
You know, for all the successes of Neighbors Don't Knock, I think I may be most proud of our intro music just because it's such a good choice. And this man is entirely to thank for it. It was all Brian. It's really good.
So, well, thank you. I will take credit for that. Yeah, clap,
Golf
clap.
claps.
Golf clap. Oh, no, we'll get some.
All the accolades.
Thank you, guys.
You love.
Too kind. Wow, too kind.
You love that button. You really do. Of all the sound effect buttons, I think that one gets the most use, actually.
Yeah. It does. It gets the most use.
Oh. Do you like my smoker's voice I've got going on for this episode? I'm pretty proud of it.
I know. Were you like you had a humidor up there open?
What do you have on the usual?
Yeah. little
Hey,
cigars, little cigars and brandy.
Brian, it's 5 a.m. Go home to your wife. Yeah. No. I was working on a house project, actually, and I was like huffing drywall dust. You know, most smart people use a mask.
Really healthy.
Yeah. I ordered a mask, and it came without the filters that it was supposed to have, so Amazon sent me a replacement.
So wait, you wore it anyway?
No. I just went sans mask like a total moron.
Oh yeah, that was worse. You could have just even put on like a bandana and gone around like a old bandit in the West or something, you know.
I can't do that look. It's just not me. The whole Mad Max thing, it just doesn't fit with my, Gap or like
your
Republic or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to say your Connecticut vibe.
Good.
Your country
It
club
just doesn't match the Afghan now, does it?
Well, welcome.
My flippy floppies.
Welcome, you guys.
Use guys.
Welcome. If this is your first time or your 100th time, whatever, we welcome you to Neighbors Don't Knock. Make sure you take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button and also that little notification bell so when new content comes out, you will always be the first to know.
Don't be like me. Don't forget the bell.
Don't forget the bell.
Super important.
I know, right? But we're going to jump into a little bit of social media versus reality really today. Is really
social media versus... Yeah, they are polar opposites, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of versus.
Yeah.
Clash. Okay, so we haven't even started. We've already lost it off the rails. But I was really interested when you brought this up. But it didn't surprise me that AI came into the conversation because you
because I brought it up.
Well, yeah, because you brought. But I mean, I know you're so fascinated with AI in every aspect. But I don't think you trust it. I lie. I think you trust it too much. I think you trust it too. Well, should we say a word in this house and see what happens?
Oh no! Don't say hello.
Exactly. So I think
hello, Tom Cruise's daughter.
Yeah, I think, is that really his daughter's name?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think so.
I didn't know that.
Hope I'm not wrong. I feel really bad if I'm wrong now. I'm pretty sure I remember that.
So,
Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise. I think Siri was the.
Sure.
Just don't say hey.
Hey, one more thing.
All the lights will start flashing. Things will start turning on and off. It gets weird. My temperature drops like 50 degrees. It's
that's okay. So that's what I'm saying. I think that you trust the AI a little too much.
Why, you think they're all listening?
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, that's what makes it funny to me because you complain that they're listening, but yet everything is like Bluetooth and hardwired to activate with like
Could
AI.
you imagine how unbelievably bored the people are who are listening to my household on AI? They're like, oh,
you don't think they could
Chloe
find it?
wants pepperoni pizza again for dinner. That's new. Oh.
Yeah. Well, okay, you're saying that if you had audio and video into somebody else's house that they didn't know you're watching them. First, that's kind of weird, but let's just
I'm glad you stopped yourself right there. I'm really happy that Brian actually stepped in front of where he was going on that one. And it's like, oh, actually, I sound like a total creeper. Yeah, they've got laws against that for a reason.
But all right,
go ahead. Like, would you listen? Would you be all
like or if you notice like a fight or something going on or something really, it's like, ooh, and just sat there. And,
so you live in an apartment complex. Have you ever done the whole like glass up against the wall thing?
No, because we don't have anyone living on either side of us.
Oh, fair enough.
So and we're on the top floor, so we can't hear people above us
to the floor.
To the floor, no.
Laying on your side and just
no, but you can
Elma.
hear people in the hallway and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not gonna say yeah, exactly, and they trail off in the conversation. But
like
anyway,
the Doppler effect of drunks.
Exactly. As they're taking their social media, or FaceTiming or live, Instagram Live,
stumbling down the hall. Okay, everybody, I'm here at 3 a.m. We're home. Yeah.
So,
what's the deal with that? Why is it acceptable to have this pose, like where your arm is extended and you're videotaping or photographing yourself? I see it everywhere. I see pictures of people taking pictures of themselves in the selfie pose regularly now, like in news articles.
Yeah, they don't need the stick anymore. It's acceptable to have your arm. Or
everyone's
hand
arm's gotten longer, right? we're more hunched over,
or
the
cameras have they just zoom them out somehow. But that's what we're gonna let's get into that, because we're talking about
speaking of perspective,
exactly, social media's effect on AI and art. And I think it's funny in this article that you found that it mentions AI art. Which it is. It is absolutely art, and it's mostly fictional art. And what we're talking about is how we look at things on social media and how the AI takes real pictures and creates them into what we feel are the acceptable parameters in today's society.
Right. So, okay, let's do a little backpedaling, get a little basis for the conversation here. So what actually wound up happening was I came across an article on Fox News. I know. I'm sorry. FoxNews.com. And the article was about a study being conducted by a group called the Bulimia Project.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bulimia Project is a group of individuals, mostly psychologists and other scientists, that are out trying to get to the bottom of sort of various eating disorders and various body dysmorphia disorders, basically anything where you have an unhealthy either eating habit or an unhealthy view of your own body or other people's bodies, unhealthy perceptions of body image.
I didn't realize that was still a thing. I thought like big is beautiful now was kind of the look at that.
Evidently, it's still a really big thing, because what the Bulimia Project is setting out to do is sort of bring this back to everyone's attention that has forgotten about it because of that, because of pop media is all about extremes rather than talking about like, oh, you're just 1980s and 1990s run-of-the-mill high school kids problems. I mean, it's a really big deal. But what happened was the Bulimia Project, according to this article, set out to unleash AI, like Chat GPT style AI, onto various instances where they can come up with what AI thinks that people think bodies should look like. And the first thing they did was social media. They asked AI, like, what is the ideal person according to social media?
I mean, that's easy. That's easy to do that because everyone posts constantly, and there's just an infinite number of images out there.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because AI can only take into account what you can feed it. That's why it's not really true complete intelligence yet. It can only it can spit back at you data they can crunch, right? So you have to give it a lot of data to crunch. So when I sent this to you, I'm super happy you jumped all over it. What were your first thoughts about this?
Well, I mean, to me, my honest first thought was this seems a little ridiculous, but it is kind of the world we live in, because social media has become something based, something that is based on likes and clicks, and what people will how to validate. Oh, I don't look good in that, or I put a filter on it or something. It's become this platform of how many likes and clicks and things can I get, and how to validate myself, right?
And you're talking about pictures of yourself, like
Well, pictures of yourself, or not just. I mean, honestly, not just of yourself, of other people, of things you're doing, of your food, of
I hate that.
which I've done before. I've done but it was like, oh, this is a really cool restaurant, or the presentation was neat, so I took a picture. Or you get a really cool drink that's like smoky or something. So anyway, so I'm guilty of some of that as well. But. It used to be just like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Hey, people that follow you. Now it's to generate. I mean, it's people do specific and crazy things physically, to their bodies as well as whatever they're wearing, just to get validation and likes and clicks. And so that was the first thing that jumped out to me. And I'm like, this is just crazy that is what it's become. And then my second thought was, as far as images go, what's wrong with being average? I mean, there's nothing, because you say that like, it can mean average can mean you can put it somewhere on the spectrum, because it can mean something to everybody, or something a little different to everybody, right? But generally, when you say average, people take that as an insult.
Indeed,
and it's not an insult to be average. Like, I'm an average guy. It doesn't mean that I don't have special qualities or things about me that I love and can do well. And when you look, and going back now to those things, going back and looking at the AI and what they're putting out, and how it's generating what we should look like. People are being they're very impressionable. Especially a lot of younger generation, because this is how they're getting their information. They're like, oh, this is society. This is what we do. And they're seeing this like, I need to look like that, or I need to do something, or use these filters. And, and it's kind of a false sense, of validation that they're getting. And it's skewing it a little bit, because you have AI, for what people are posting, because they see that that's what many people want to look like, or they're like, ooh, I want to look like that, so they post it, and then it becomes this norm.
Well, so herein lies the problem, right? Because you say that most people would say 10. I disagree, because I think that if most people would say, oh, I'm a 10, then they wouldn't be doing things like photoshopping their pictures on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. They wouldn't be trying to make themselves look like something that they're not, right? They want to be the 10. But
no, I
don't think they think of themselves in that way. If they thought of themselves, you're right. Then average would be okay.
Maybe to themselves, I think of a lot of people or maybe. I mean, I can see some people maybe. I mean, a small sample size, I think. But I really believe that most people are going to boost themselves higher than what they actually are. And because of, and it's always been like this for decades. It's not just now, right? Go back to the 90s, the 80s, there was always images of what was sexy, or what guys should look like, or girls should look like. I mean, there's always been those images, right? It's just, it changes over the time. Like, there was a small time when being big was considered like, that's like, you're a 10, you're beautiful, you're, accept your body, live your life, right? I mean, and
you're talking about in pop culture, in
pop culture,
like
yeah, exactly,
history,
yeah. And of course, now I'm looking at some of these images that they're taking, and it's a lot of very thin, ripped 6-pack type of stuff that people are seeing, and they're just like, oh, I've got to look like that.
Right. So let's get into the meat of that, because this is what I found so interesting. So first of all, the Fox News article, it was published on today, the time of this recording, May 16th. And the title of the article was AI defines, quote, ideal body type, unquote, per social media. Here's what it looks like. What's so interesting about the Fox article is that they include 5 pictures of very attractive men and women, more pictures of men than women, interestingly. But of those 5 pictures, none of them are actually what the AI generated for the Bulimia Project study. All the pictures that Fox News posted up, they got from iStock.com. They're just stock photos of fitness models, which I found really fascinating. And of course, they're heavily airbrushed and idealized and all of that. So they're twisted in and of their own right.
Gets more clicks, gets more likes.
Indeed. But if you go to bulimia.com, and we will put this link as well as the Fox News link in our episode description, you can actually get to the study itself and what AI really spit back. And if you look at those images, which I see you're scrolling through now.
Yeah, I was looking at it right now.
They really are fascinating because you can see that the AI really exaggerates all these traits that people on social media are exaggerating, all these unrealistic, idealized, airbrushed,
I mean,
shadows
some
in
of them
just
look
the right
like
place for
a
your abs.
cartoon, almost.
Indeed, they're almost like
animation.
anime.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of really twisted. Some have like 3 or 4 belly buttons. There's some really weird stuff. I have to say that one of the women is gorgeous, though. So well done, AI, on that one. Way to feed the problem, Phil. Right? But but interestingly enough, man, they really are ridiculous, and to the point where they're impossible. Most of these images are beyond impossible. The AI spit back things that just don't exist. These people look almost alien, right? Like they're made out of clay. And if you get to the stats of it, right, let's get to the real meat of it. Some real quick stats that came out of this study. 40% of the AI-generated images overall depicted unrealistic body types. 37% of image of women were unrealistic. 43% of men were unrealistic. Really interesting, right? It says here when it comes down to the women, the AI-generated images tend to have a bias towards blondes with brown eyes and olive skin, which is interesting. And when it comes to the men, the AI had a tendency to bias towards brown hair, brown eyes, and also olive skin. So it seems to me that a lot of these images it's pulling from are probably airbrushed with filters that look like they have bronzers, right? Tans and things like that.
Well, and that's what people are seeing. The AI is when they see this, what do you think is pumped out in advertisements and
well, that's the thing.
ads
The
and things
AI
like
can
that.
only spit back what it's creating based on what it found.
Yeah.
Right. So, man, it's just so telling. And I don't know about you, but once we started the podcast and you got me back on social media, basically, I'm floored at how much imagery gets spit towards me on my TikTok feed, my Instagram
that
feed,
you don't ask for.
that I don't ask
Yeah.
for.
And they say they think that this fits you or this is what you would want to be looking at.
Right, but unless somebody's grabbing my phone that I don't know of, I don't know why the AI is giving that back to me other than my general demographic. Married dude, early 40s, right?
Well, I mean, it's who you're
off.
connected with, right? And that person's connected with. I
Right,
think
maybe my friends are all a bunch of like lecherous jerks that are looking at 22-year-old girls dancing for no reason in front of a selfie stick. I don't understand any of it.
I think it generates. I think it figures like as a male account or something. It's a generalization more or less, and it's like, oh, well, you're a guy. Let me throw something of a girl shaking her chest, and her boobs right on your thing because that'll keep you on there watching.
I think you're probably right.
You know what I mean?
And
it's
I'm
just
sure,
like,
I have absolutely no doubt that especially with Instagram and TikTok, it probably has to the exact millisecond how long you pause on the image. So I'm willing to bet that guys, and maybe even I do this, I don't know. I'm willing to bet that
hesitate. Just like, oh, she might take her top off. Oh,
Yeah,
nope, not.
even if
and then it's like, oh, now we're going to send you more of that.
Indeed. Even if you're annoyed by it, right? I think it's human nature. Guys or girls, men, women, doesn't matter your orientation, doesn't matter your desires
exactly.
or your practices. I think that like if you are prone to being attracted to something, you will probably give it that brief hesitation that the AI is looking for to then continue to customize your feed. That's probably why I get bombarded still with all these images, if I had to be honest. But I find it very, very weird. And some of the times I'm pausing, and I admit that I do pause sometimes, but mostly because I'm taken aback by it.
Well, you know what? It's really interesting. Kind of, I don't want to veer too far away, but we're talking about like social media versus reality. The AI and everything but it really, that's what it comes down to. You throw the AI into it, but it's really social media versus reality because I think we've gotten to a point where it is literally another world, versus reality. We've gotten so far off, in this validation or airbrushing or, these videos that you watch of like amazing things that are happening. Now, I'm not saying that none of it's real. Someone's got to be filming some of this, but there's a lot of things that are staged and put out there, and you're just like, whoa, and it was created, and you're just like, that's not real. But they do such a good job with it that you you can believe that that's real.
You know, it's super dangerous, dude, because like I'm a father of a daughter, and I see this now. My daughter, when she gets together with her friends, they'll get one of like their iPads or tablets, whatever it is. They'll pop it up, start recording a video, and they're doing these TikTok style dancing for no reason, lip syncing to some song.
Features or something.
Yeah.
Masks and stuff. Yeah.
They're coming across, and my daughter has no access to social media on her own. She only sees this through other people's social media, and it still affected her so much that she imitates it quite accurately.
I mean,
it's kind of scary.
That's the other thing that's crazy. These days you don't have to have your own access to social media to have access to social media.
Right, it's everywhere.
That's exactly kind of you're
Yeah.
saying. It is everywhere, and there's somebody that you can have access to, and then look through and scroll. So I mean, so when we're talking about social media versus AI, and I don't want to say that it's versus in necessarily a completely negative way, because there are positive things that social media can produce and has. But I think as far as what we're talking about right now, image and, you know, the impression that it makes with images that it puts out of how we look in society and how we're supposed to, I say supposed to be or supposed to look like in society, you know, according to, you know, the AI and social media.
You don't fit the mold.
It's very,
Get in line B.
It's very distorted. I mean, this is a stat I'm pulling out of my butt, but I'd probably be willing to bet somewhere close to 80% of people don't look anywhere or don't fit anywhere close to the mold of what we're supposed to look like.
80%, Brian. You're being so generous.
I mean, because it's a stat I pulled out of my ass. So, but I would bet it's a large percentage of people that don't come anywhere close to looking to this image.
The vast majority.
And I'm not talking the U.S. I'm talking worldwide, right?
There's no doubt about it. And let me ask you a question, because I can say from personal experience, I have like weird body dysmorphia issues. Not that I struggle with every day by any means, but when I set my mind on a workout goal, let's say I decide, okay, I want to run a certain race, or I want to even look a certain way because I'm going to be going, you know, to a family thing or like a beach vacation or something. What I picture in my head,
beach bod.
Yeah, what I picture in my head is absolutely nowhere close to what I will ever look like in my entire life. There's no chance, and that's how I picture. I picture like, oh, I'm just gonna get, you know, shredded for this beach trip. It's absurd.
I don't know if I've ever actually said that to myself in my head. I'm gonna get shredded.
Well, I don't crush beer cans on my face either. Those are not the real words I use in my Jiminy Cricket voice over here. But inside voice, Phil.
No. I'm just saying, that's what I'm talking about. Your inner voice. I've never liked my inner voice. I didn't think you said it out loud. Not like you're talking to the mirror. I'm gonna get shredded.
No, but I get crazy unrealistic goals. Like I bought a pull-up.
Interesting.
I bought a pull-up bar once, and I decided like, oh, I'm gonna get to the point where I can do, you know, 50 dead hang pull-ups without breaking.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen in my life ever again. There's no way.
I mean, so I like working out, and there's a point when you physically get, you know,
old.
Well, no, not even just old. Just to a point. There's points in your life that we get to where we need to look at ourselves where, you know, we weren't eating healthy enough, or we just aren't happy with the way that our appearance is, and so we get to work on ourselves, whether that be due to stress. Or you know, illness or some whatever it is, and it just comes to that point, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I've gone through phases like that where, you know, college at one point towards the end I was drinking a lot and staying out late and eating real late and then crashing and sleeping all day, and I put on a lot of weight, you know, at one point, and it was just not healthy. And you know, when you get into better routines and certain things like that, some of that is affected and helps, but there's nothing wrong, and I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at somebody, you know, a guy, and be like, I would love to be that in shape, or I would love to, you know. Do you have to look exactly like that? No. Are you going to? No. I mean, no one person is the same, and
usually not without steroids and 6 hours a day in the gym.
Exactly, so. And it's like, is it necessary for you to feel good about yourself? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe to those that right now, whoever you're watching right now, are like, yes, I have to have a 6 or 8 or 12 pack, be tan and ripped,
18 pack.
yeah, whatever it is. It's like, grrr,
My nipples have 6 packs.
I
They're
mean,
lifting weights right now.
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if that's what you want, that's fine. I've never felt, personally, I can say that I've never had that in my head where I needed to feel like I look like that to feel good about myself. Neighbors Don't Knock is produced by C&G Communications. C&G specializes in small batch voiceover and video production for commercial media, podcasting, radio, and more.
Combining years of experience in podcasting, acting, and sales, C&G offers big media products at small business prices.
That's right. To learn more, visit their Facebook page or email them directly at admin@cngcommunications.com.
They've gotten so good at telling us what we should look like and how we should feel that we should look like and how we should feel an attractive person should look like. It's scary, and it's universal, and it's everywhere.
Yeah, the one thing that I mean, yes, there's always going to be that, and there's a way that I prefer to look, as well. I don't want to let myself go and have be 100 pounds overweight or anything. One, because I just don't feel that's healthy, and two, I would not enjoy that. But if that, let's say hypothetically, that was the norm, that being plus size was what was considered beauty at that point, right? I mean, take the Disney movie WALL-E, right, where people aren't walking around because they're doing, so everyone looks that way, so that's considered kind of a norm, and so it's interesting how things will change, and who knows in 100 years or even 10 years what the beauty standard will be.
Well,
the majority, what would you say that they would want to be?
I don't think I have to take a poll. I think that the bulimia.com, the Bulimia Project's AI experiment did this for us, because not any sizable percentage of this included people that are plus size. In fact, all of the people, men and women alike, were shown to have quite toned, if not overly muscular bodies. So obviously there's still something happening on the popular trend level where people are still envisioning beauty as muscular. And in fact, with women, it's swung towards a more muscular physique, not a less muscular physique.
I mean, I think we have to work a little bit more at our physique these days in the last...
Lord knows I need to work a little more at mine.
No, I mean, I'd say probably in the last 30 years or so. I mean, I can't speak before I was born or anything, but I feel that just the way our society becomes, especially I'm speaking for in the U.S., there's so many fast food and options and things like that, and it's just, we're kind of a little bit lazy. I mean, I think a lot of people are a little bit lazy.
So speaking of WALL-E, interestingly enough, I came across an article today, because there's no such thing as coincidence, really. Let's all face it. People that believe in coincidence have a terrible lack of imagination. But today, of all days, I came across an article about WALL-E, and they talked about the pictures of the previous ship captains.
Yeah.
In the I don't know. If
the wheel, yes. Your nemesis.
I don't know where they are. I don't know if they're in the captain's quarters in that moment, or if they're in
on the bridge.
Wheelhouse on the bridge. It's probably on the bridge.
Yeah.
But interestingly, there's a subtlety.
Yeah, it's like the portraits, right?
Yeah. There's a subtlety in that clip where if you look at the date ranges, they're a little over 100 years each, to imply that humans in that time period were living quite a bit longer than right now, which I found fascinating. It's a pretty nice little touch. Way to go, Pixar.
Well, I mean, as a society, we used to have to build our houses ourselves.
Out of mud.
Yeah, or yeah, exactly. We had to walk everywhere. There wasn't cars for
uphill.
For a long time, through the woods, through the snow, over 10 miles through the snow,
treading
right?
Water.
Yeah, I mean,
my friend Susie had to pick the leeches off before first period.
I mean, at certain points in history, there we didn't have the capabilities of flying and riding on the ships. Back in the Viking Age, they actually had to row.
Yeah, teleportation wasn't around
exactly,
yet.
Right? So I mean, it just, as we've evolved technologically, I don't want to say that the technology is a bad thing, but it does allow us to be a little lazier.
It sure does. There's no
You
doubt
know,
about it.
so I think that is part of the reason it affects some of us, you know, for body size.
Well,
a
then,
little bit.
do you think that's driving this a little bit? Do you think that because we are slipping more and more into, let's say, an overweight society, a society that has less and less active lifestyles on a whole, do you think that's driving the fantasy even farther, driving the fantasy of the ideal body type of these like muscular men and women and all the airbrushing and all that? Like, kind of like when people are really depressed, you know, like fantasy movies and comedies become really popular during times of war and recessions
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah, I see your I get the point. You know,
I hope so.
I
I hammered it home pretty hard there.
Yeah, you did.
It was not
yeah, it's
subtle.
Like, I was like, yeah, I got it. No, I don't know. I think that's an interesting question. I want to jump on it right to say yes, but I think there's more to it than that.
I'm with you, and I don't know the answer either. I'm very curious as to what all of you think about this. I would love it if you please went to the links in our episode description, in particular, the bulimia.com link, not just because of this study, because there's actually some really interesting information there.
Yeah.
These people are doing some fascinating things that we could all learn from. But post up, after you read through this, after you check out these stats, take a look at those images of what AI is saying social media says is the ideal body, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, what is and what do you think the ideal body should be? You know, what is there a disconnect, a very big disconnect between social media and reality? I mean,
Yeah.
is it getting to the point where it's just so far apart that we can't really make a distinction anymore?
Yeah, and don't be shy. If you think it's Brian Chambers is the ideal body type, you post that up. I mean, he'd love to hear about it. He agrees.
Well, it just sounds like they've spoken already. So so
Do
don't
you hear that crowd?
They love me. They really love me. Yes, but anyway, the question is for you. Let us know. Leave a comment below. But Philip, you know what time it is right now.
I do.
It's time for Neighbor Tweets. All right, this is where we scour Twitter for the good, the bad, and the ridiculous about what you neighbors are posting out there. And this week we have Dawn Bartlett Hall, and she says, funny thing, my neighbor up here is from Corpus and a huge Spurs fan as well. We already decided we'll be decking out both our houses. I'm sure the HOA and Mavs fans up here will love us. So, first of all, for those of you that are not sports people, the Spurs is San Antonio Spurs. It's a basketball team, NBA team. And the Mavs, you know, for those of you that are not big sports people, the Dallas Mavericks basketball team.
I like that you say for those of you who are not, and you really just mean for me.
No, we have people out there that are not massive sports fans.
This is true.
But so first of all, I thought it was kind of cool that they came across each other on, you know, in Corpus, and you know, it's always fun when you move somewhere, and your home team, you stick with it. You know, like Patriot fans, you can relate to this because you know the Patriots.
I do.
And there's a lot of Patriot fans. No matter where they move from, they are Patriot fans for life. It's kind of like Yankee fans, right? Yankee fans are typically Yankee fans for life, no matter where they go.
There's so many Ole Miss and
yeah, I mean, you can go with a lot.
LSU.
But yeah, but a lot of times you live somewhere long enough, you kind of adopt the hometown team, right? But there are some people.
I consider myself a chameleon. That's what I would do. I'm very mimetic.
But there are some people that are diehard to their original roots, and they are going to let everybody know. I think there's something endearing about that a little bit. Would you be upset if your neighbors next door decked out their house in their team logos and flags?
Yes.
I think you would be.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So
I can't stand it.
Really?
Oh, it drives me nuts, man. When I'm driving down the street and I see someone
not
like
even
with
just a flag, just like a big flag. That's it. That would bug you? Just a flag?
yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm gonna make so many enemies right now.
We're about to unpack this right now.
To me, it's like wearing your college ring to a job interview, right? It just represents that you can't move on. It's like you have a house now. You don't have to fly like the dorm room flag outside your balcony window. I mean, okay, let me qualify because I do have criteria here.
Okay.
If it's a sporting event going on, I get it. Right? Big game, fly your colors. Okay, that's fun. I get the camaraderie. I think it's very cool. In fact, I applaud it. Kudos.
I mean,
to you.
they could be talking about that like on game days.
I-
type
I would
thing.
hope so.
But
But
there are people
I
that
have
are year
neighbors.
round. Yeah.
I have neighbors around here that have their sports team flags like on their balconies. I'm like, guys, it's adult time now. This is a neighborhood. It's not cool. The person next to you is like busting their hump to make their garden gorgeous and keeping their house painted and fresh.
Who
And your
says that an
LSU flag is like,
Well, who says an Astros flag in your front yard isn't gorgeous?
look, I'll give you the American flag and I'll give you the Texas flag. Outside of that, you lost me.
I mean, okay, so it might trigger you. I guess it does. Apparently, I shouldn't say might, but so don't be that.
It triggers my tacky light.
But don't. Oh well, so you wouldn't say anything.
Oh no.
Oh okay. All right. Well, that's fair.
No, I'll
you
be
know.
silent in my scorn. No, of course
There you
not.
go. Okay. Because I mean, we did have an episode we talked about where somebody put a Tigger garden flag up, and
Right.
we're not, like
Those racist
yeah,
chicks.
they were like so upset that it's like you had Tigger from Winnie the Pooh in the garden. It was
Yeah.
like, I don't like that, and some
No.
people may see that, and especially with rivalries and things like that, you may, if you have someone in Texas, UT and A&M are big, people are very opposite about that kind of thing. For some reason, the Cowboys and Texans for NFL, people are just like, oh, if you have Cowboys stuff up and you live in Houston, you're, but who knows?
They show up with pitchforks and a spade,
Who knows?
torches.
I'm okay with it. It's not my style. I can see when you're like in the townhouses area where you're kind of in a lot of closer proximity. I mean, if you have to look at it out your window, I could see why that would annoy you. But I mean, hey, to each his own, in my opinion.
Yeah. And hey, on game day, man, break it out.
All right. Well, good luck there, Don. All right, this next one is from a previous. We've had this person's tweet on the show before.
We have a return tweeter.
We have a return tweeter.
Wow, welcome back.
He posts a lot of great stuff. Rand Paul's neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and Rand Paul's neighbor says, I think it's funny when people are like, if I die, make sure you clear my browser history. Because people always assume that there's the most deprived pornography. But I think a lot of time it would be like, oh my God, 300,000 pictures of chihuahuas in bowler hats.
I mean, if they were looking at my daughter's browser history, it'd be nothing but fluffy little puppy dogs and like ducks and bunnies for sure. It's
What about your
hilarious.
browser history?
No comment.
Okay, so do you think that, honestly, before I die, I'm sorry, the last thing that I want to I'm even thinking about, if I'm getting close to dying, is that, like, by the way, clear my browser history. I'm gone, man. Judge away.
See, this is where you
Judge
and
away.
this is where you and I differ so much because I have actual set instructions for what to do with my electronic life when I die.
Do you really?
I really do, yeah.
Wait, can you? I'm a little scared, actually.
No, it has to do with things like clearing my social media presence out. I don't want one of those.
Okay.
I don't want my Facebook page becoming like the whole in memorandum thing. That's not good for me. I know some people love that. That for
No,
me,
you just
that's
have-
not good.
You just have someone posting, like you designate someone in the family and pass down your Facebook like account.
It
like,
would only be
so
great
it
if they were
was like-
pretending to be me. That would be
that's
the only wonderful.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like Philip Godfrey's still alive. Didn't that guy die like 30 years ago?
Did you see this creepy thing that Apple is rolling out in iOS 17? The personalized my voice
Obviously,
feature.
I did. By my facial expression, you should be saying.
Apple has released in their beta, and it looks like it's coming to the public in iOS 17. They're going to have a personalized my voice feature where you can make a recording of yourself. The AI will then take over, recreate your voice perfectly, so that if you're ever disabled or in a situation where you were losing the ability to speak, your loved ones could still communicate with you as if they're hearing you as you're typing away.
Well, that's crazy, actually.
It's very, I mean,
It's
I imagine
cool.
for
It's
a lot
kinda-
of people, it's going to be amazing.
Well, I mean,
but
like
it's
someone had
still
like
creepy.
if someone had like throat cancer or
Sure.
something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Still creepy. It can be cool and creepy at the same time.
I can also see that being something awesome for Halloween.
I'm just picturing Bill and Ted in the future with the holograms where they're doing the whole guitar strum thing. You know,
Of course you are.
that's how I want my Facebook to be. Be excellent to each other.
Well, I don't think that I care much about my browser, but I'm with you. You know, someone, I guess you can clear my accounts and stuff. But yeah,
Do you think it's be more porn or more chihuahuas and bowler hats?
chihuahuas and bowler hats.
Not yours, but I mean generally.
Oh. I like dogs. I'm a dog person.
The average person.
The average person.
More porn, right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know.
Are people too lazy for porn now?
Maybe. I mean, there's too many options. I mean,
There's too many options.
too many options of things to do and look at on the internet. They're just crazy.
I just feel lost and overwhelmed. So I look at cats.
There we go. And that does it for another edition of Neighbor Tweets.
That was fun.
All right, that was fun. I had a good time. And we are glad you guys stopped by, as always.
And we hope you had a good time as well.
Yeah, and if you want to leave us a message, you can leave comments below on our YouTube channel or send us a voice message on our pod inbox at podinbox.com/neighborsdon'tknock. And you can find that in the episode description and all those fun links down there. But make sure you like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We love to hear from our neighbors out there and expand our neighborhood. Philip, we are getting close to the end of our season,
We are. Be sure you all tune in next week for our season finale.
Yeah.
Season 6 will be coming to a close.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think we've exhausted this one enough, and it's time for us to get out of here. It's good, as always, to spend some time with you, my friend.
Good to see you, sir.
And it's good to spend some time with you. Won't you be our neighbors?
Ooh, careful. No lawsuits. No
yeah.
liability.
Yeah, hit that subscribe button.
It was neighbors, not neighbors. See?
Yeah, hit the subscribe button right now. Go do it. Do it. Do it. See you guys next week. Peace.
Out.